Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another CrowdLinker Fireside Chat episode. I'm Aram Melkoumov, the host. Thanks for tuning in. On the show, I'm interviewing product and innovation leaders who are working on big industry disruptive problems from within their organizations. A lot of my guests have been in the trenches and have lots of practical advice and experience to share about how to build quality digital products, staying agile, and always fostering an innovation mindset. This is season 2, episode number 9, and I'm here with Bobbie Shrivastav to chat about going remote with her product team, hiring product managers, as well as sharing her insights on a founder product management dynamics. Quick background on Bobbie. She has been in the technology field since 2004 and specializes in digital transformation, process optimization, and re-engineering. In the past, her focus has been on coaching teams and managing large enterprise level initiatives to deliver innovative products and solutions in the marketplace. Currently, she is the co-founder and CPO, so Chief Product Officer at Benekiva. We're all excited to have her on our show today. So without further ado, welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Bobbie.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to sharing my knowledge and thank you for the opportunity.
Before I jump in, I was curious, just when I was reading your bio, it made me think of a question. What is re-engineering?
So re-engineering is taking the old, like the current process. So let's say from A to B, and how do you, or like A to B to C, and how do you engineer it and optimize it so that it goes from A to C without the B. So so a lot of my background has been studying like Lean Six Sigma, which is all about like taking how to make processes better.
Okay, cool. Well, lots of good insight there already. Starting off well. So first couple of questions I wanted to ask was talking about your journey through COVID and having a remote team. I know, having spoken to a lot of other product innovation leaders or even CEOs, it's something that's tough to do, especially product management, in my opinion, sometimes require a lot of face-to-face, a lot of collaboration, whiteboarding sessions, like you name it, right? How has your team kind of fared so far, or what are some of their what are some learnings you could share about how you were able to remain communicative, productive, and collaborative?
So COVID, like with many other organizations, was challenging. And for us, most of our critical hires came during COVID. So our company grew tremendously. We doubled our employee count. But our team was, I call them rock stars, because what we did was we created a good process where it allowed for organization, accountability, and we weaved in a lot of virtual, what we call relaxed time, whether, hey, let's share your favorite beverage, to let's just talk about things that are happening in world. From a process perspective, I will share that we connected in the morning towards the end of the day. We took opportunity to leverage storm boards. We heavily invested in good documentation platforms like Confluence, just to make life easy for us, because we can't do a whiteboard session, but we could do a virtual whiteboard session. So we took opportunities for that.
What is stormboarding? Sorry, I'm learning as I'm going here.
The Stormboard is a application that allows you to do brainstorming. So what we did was we used Stormboards for our strategic planning from a founder perspective, as well as I did strategic planning with our product team. Mm-hmm. So think about, in Agile, there's a concept of when you do retrospectives, you start talking about things that if you've done a retrospective, you typically talk about themes, as well as for each one of those themes, what are you going to start, stop, and continue? that framework, Stormboard, allowed us to do that. So typically, whenever you're on like Zoom, what we didn't want to do is the loudest voice have the most talk about all of their pieces, while everybody's different, right? So we allowed for, hey, take time and document your themes, and then vote. So it allowed you to vote for those items so that we can talk about the most important outside of just, hey, I want to talk about this. So it allowed us to control some of that chaos that in face-to-face, we could have just said, it's easy to say, okay, enough, right? Yeah. But in virtual, you can't, right? How do you read somebody's body language, right? So it's a very good tool to allow us to do some brainstorming sessions and in a controlled and non-chaos way.
Okay, very cool. And you mentioned using Confluence. Why not Notion or some other options?
We're so invested in Jira from our dev process. So it just makes sense. We are also in the mindset of, for our customers, we tell them one claims and servicing solution instead of going to multiple systems. We do the same thing with ours. With Jira and the Atlassian suite, it just gives us a lot of flexibility to even look at other marketplace items like Draw.io. So instead of having a Visio program, we use Draw.io. So everything is in one place, so people are not going into multiple logins.
Okay, very cool. And any plans on going back to in-person? Or are you staying fully remote?
We've been a remote shop to begin with, but what we are doing is we're weaving in, for each one of our satellite locations, we're weaving in like quarterly connects. So last weekend we did a Benekiva, North Carolina get together where we gave an invite to anybody who wants to come in. Totally respect if they still don't choose to come, because we're still in a pandemic, but we are starting to have more sessions, face-to-face sessions. But COVID has allowed us to really focus on what's most critical versus just getting together to just get together. And I think now we're going in with those tools and skill set where we as resources or employees are saying, I can do this virtually. Guys, there's no need to fly or no need to do face-to-face. So I think we now know which meetings or sessions are more face-to-face versus what we can accommodate through remote. And we've done some tough things in remote. So now it allows us to really, when we do face-to-face, it allows us to really focus on critical items and not just for anything, let's fly. And let's meet up here.
Okay. And what would you say are like those critical reasons to have face-to-face meetings?
So for us, I'll give you a quick example where myself and another founder connected face-to-face. We are adding we're adding 2 more big feature sets. And how do we communicate that to customers from a marketing and sales perspective? So Brent heads up our sales and we share marketing, and I'm on the product side. So we had to get together, and we can't do that over Zoom because it's so easy at those points when we're looking at strategy to really say, okay, last year we were forced to do strategy in a different way, but now we can take those opportunities and really have that dialogue where it can help move the needle for our company. So that was a reason why we did face-to-face. Another reason to do face-to-face that's coming up soon is exactly that. We've hired a marketing agency, and especially when we're investing your money into a marketing agency, you want to make sure that they understand critical pieces. My team can work remote doesn't mean that your team works remote. So we are investing money in coming and ensuring that they get it. So
okay, interesting. Okay, cool. That's lots of good insight there. Before we actually started recording the session today, Bobbie, you mentioned that you hired another PM that joined your team, and I know that you have some interesting perspectives or viewpoints when it comes to hiring product managers. I think one of them is the triple threat mindset. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Absolutely. So as a startup, your biggest resource is time and your people. And we cannot be in the mindset of, let me just hire somebody and I will train them. Or vice versa, let me hire a super senior person and hope that they can get their hands dirty. So these are lessons that we've learned in our journey, and that keeps solidifying the triple threat approach. So for our company in my department, which is product and delivery, I look for three things. Project management. Have you done project management in a large enterprise or large scale way, right? Have you delivered B2B solutions or have worked in a big complex organizations where you have to navigate the organization, the politics, the change management? So I look for that skill set because that becomes very important for us, because from a B2B perspective, we're serving insurance companies. They're already behind in technology and they have complex organizations. So you can't put somebody that doesn't know project management and expect them to do well. The second skill set I look for is architecture. So because we're in that B2B space and the technology space, we oftentimes get pulled in by our customers who do want to do the whiteboarding session. So if you don't understand how to build solutions or how to architect solutions, you add no value to that conversation, which means I have to add another person so that they can add that value. So my product team comes from project management, comes from architecture, meaning they have designed and developed solutions because we add value in those conversations to our customers. And then the third piece, which is the most important piece also, is the product. Have you worked in developing feature sets for a product or have worked for a SaaS organization? Because to me, like, product doesn't mean I've built a product from scratch. It could mean that I've worked with a product to enhance it. So do you understand the concept of features? Do you understand the concept of taking that feature and breaking it down into multiple stories? Have you done that work and have you led that work? So that's my triple threat. So the latest person that we hired comes from project management, worked for a very large company. So it's awesome, comes from architecture, and he has product experience. So that's the triple threat resource. It becomes very hard to find these people, but when you find them, you just hire them. You don't let them go.
It's really interesting. Just drawing a parallel from our own product studio. A lot of our PMs act as the project managers, right? The product managers. Sometimes the scrum masters, if we don't have enough capacity to bring on another scrum master. But then most importantly is the account manager. Mm-hmm. So, to your point there, I think one of the big success factors when it comes to, especially in the B2B space for a product manager who's working with like your insurance type of clients, is having those soft skills or having that account management type of mindset a bit. Where customer service is also important to them, and that they have a good EQ. Mm-hmm. Oh, would you say that that's something else that you might consider as a fourth threat, soft skills?
So my definition of project management is less 80%. I learned this a long time ago. Project management, people say it's a hard skill. No, it's not. 80% is soft skills, 20% is the technical know-how. Mm-hmm. I can train somebody that 20% of create a spreadsheet or put it in Jira. Here's the format. I can't teach you how to work with business owners, or when somebody yells at you for not doing that and you're not lashing out, you're having that emotional intelligence, that EQ to kind of stay that. So I loop that into my project management category.
Okay.
But I do agree. I do agree about account management skill set, because that, when we work with customers, in a way, my team members are like, they act like an account manager, because they're the face for our company with them.
Interesting. And when it comes to training, you said that you look for these skill sets, the triple threat, right? Is there any training that you do provide, coaching or anything that to the PMs that you bring in, like anything that is specific maybe to your approach or to your business?
So the good thing is when I do look at that mix, that triple threat mix, the coaching and training is not on the hard skills, which to me is like, honestly, it takes the most time if I'm teaching a brand new person on how to do product management from scratch, right? What I do provide, or what we provide, is how do you navigate for our industry? How do you navigate an insurance carrier or your customer? How do you provide that solutions-focused approach? Because everybody's going to work at it differently, and some people, it's like, how do you become a consultant and ask good questions so that you're adding value to them, as well as there's a probability that we're landing and expanding within that customer because they find that we're such value. So those are those experiences that we coach them on and share with them. A lot of it is come observe me, and I'm going to do a facilitated session so you could see how we're navigating this workshop, so that they're equipped and they can be successful in doing their own facilitation and add their own flavor to it. Another training that we do is invite them to industry seminars or workshops. I'm at the point where I would love, my team is amazing. Like, I'm putting them to speak, right? Go share your knowledge with our customers, because our customers don't have to just see me or Brent or another, Sovin as another founder speaking about what we do as best practice in our arena. We have a good team, giving them the opportunity to hone in those public speaking skill sets. So I know some members of our team, A, they love it, they want that, or B, they're like, eh. So we kind of give them at least giving them the opportunity where they want to hone in on those skill sets.
Okay, interesting. It's a good segue into my next question I have for you, Bobbie, which is like, in the startup realm, scale-up realm, it's quite a large contrast from what we've seen as a product development firm when we work with startups or with enterprises, where innovation leaders or product leaders in large organizations sometimes can hire for very specific roles, but ultimately kind of struggle with that digital transformation mindset or the solutioning mindset. Whereas for startups, it's more like, you're constantly evolving, you're constantly testing, iterating, you're solutioning on like problems to solutions. Can you touched upon already some good points there, but can you talk a little bit more about what your digital transformation mindset is, and how it might differ from like the mainstream, especially in the insurance space, which is very archaic, as you said?
Yeah, I mean, I worked with organizations that that brought in like these super senior leaders from overseas even, and ultimately didn't move the needle for the organization. I approach digital transformation as we want to do something that's truly transformative. So I follow a lot of like Sadhguru, which is like an Indian philosopher. And I love his definition of transformation, which is like, there is no residue of past. Most of these in digital transformation leaders, they focus so much on changing, right? They're focused on change. Let me take this paper process or this web process and put in a digital layer, digital wrapper. That's change. That's not transformation. With us as startups, we're always looking to move the needle, right? And because we are so close to the customer, we're driven by change, not change. We're driven by how do we make a mark on the industry? How do we truly transform? And sometimes you are going to take that, what I call it, crawl, walk, run, because you can't change an industry overnight. But your vision and your mission has to be transformation, and your path and your journey has to be, how do you chip away that past so that it's truly, this is the new model, new way of doing business.
Interesting. And as a product leader, as a CPO, you come across probably a lot of tough questions or roadblocks or challenges, every day potentially, right? Where do you turn to for guidance or advice or another perspective on how to go about solving this problem?
So for me, I have a network of like-minded individuals that I can connect with. So I have I've been fortunate that I've built a very good mentor network in my journey from corporate that served me also in startup. Also, I built this similar type of network structure, mentor circle in my startup that have worked closely with insurance. So next, I try to find ways to connect with people, and even with COVID, having a one-on-one session just to keep in touch with people. Now we are opening up a bit. So one of the biggest advice I would give people, never forget the power of your network, because it will come in and serve you at the right point of time. There's also I also look at learning and knowledge, right? There's plenty of, if I'm struggling with a tactical concept or just want to hear another point of view, going on YouTube or listening to podcasts, right? There's a podcast that I was following from Reid Hoffman on, what was that? Innovation of Change or Change Makers. Those stuff inspire you because you're hearing from other founders or other leaders on how they blocked and tackle. So keeping a wide variety of people, YouTube, even TikTok, and a podcast has kind of kept me sane.
Interesting. And with your knowledge that you have now and everything that you talk about where you go for advice and all the knowledge you've built over this time, what advice would you give to people listening who are either starting off in the process as a product innovation leader, or even are senior? If you were to go back at the beginning of your career, knowing what you know now, what would you recommend to them?
Learn more, but not just learn more. Try to find applicable ways to execute that within your organization. Also, keep networking. Find these areas of people that don't look like you or they're in a department that you may want to be at. That's one thing I wish I had done, because earlier on in my career, I was very technical, but I loved what the product people would do because I felt like they had the most fun because they were working on commercialization and marketing. And I had wished earlier on I would have networked with more of those people, especially when I worked at companies like Pepsi. Think about that network that I mean, now it's hard to go back. But I think that's the pieces wherever you're at in life, whether you're in a job or you're looking for a job, look at people that are in that role that you want to be and just get a one-on-one, do an internship, do a side project with them. I learned that a little bit later in my career. So when I was working at an organization that I knew that I wanted to move more into product, what I did was I did my regular role from managing my technical department, but I also asked them to sit in on those sessions and do some of the commercialization work, or sit in on those meetings so that I understood what they meant by commercialization. How do you commercialize your innovation? So that would be more of doing that earlier is my feedback.
Oh, okay, it's really interesting. Yeah, we brought in a few new product managers internally at our company, where I think going to be 5 soon. And the amount of knowledge that they all share is just so different and diverse, from enterprise to startups to scale-ups. And they always want to learn, and I'm always trying to coach them or mentor them, but there's just already so much content out there, as you said, right? That people can go and follow. But I really like the idea of like the finding one-on-one time with people. And we're starting to try to do that more and more, so that it could build a better support or better coaching mentorship option for them to grow and to learn about like the business side, or like, you know, the P&L of what a product manager should be looking at when they're building out their products, so that they have some visibility into the business as well. So all really good points. Thanks for sharing that, Bobbie. Yeah. Lastly, I just want to touch upon a couple more points that I wanted to ask you. I know you've been quite involved in the startup communities world, where I know your focus has been helping out founders understanding the product management side of the house. And so I wanted to ask, why did you choose this as your focus?
So I'll share a little bit of the why. So 2019 I was invited to this group of community leaders to talk about how do we build product management skill set into the startup community, because what we were finding is folks that were very good in business, that had an idea, or people that were super technical that can build anything. What was lacking is this bridge of business and technical. And that middle layer is my definition of product management, right? Like bridging business and tech, right? And so last year, I was invited to do a session, very technical. And I brought in those products like MVP, product roadmap, but I touched on it because the focus for this particular organization was they need more technical. Bobbie, they need how do they vet technical partners? And I was like, well, I think they need to know more about product, right? But I did what they shared. And this year, they're like, we totally missed the mark. They want to do product management. So I think that's been my focus, is because I've been there, right? As a startup, I didn't gain product management skill set overnight. It came, right? It came through experiences and the why, right? Like, how do you move this tech product into commercialization? What is that skill set? So that's my focus, is the lessons I've learned since my getting into startup world, into, let's give back, right, to startup founders. Most of these startup founders know why they want to, they don't need help in this whole the value proposition and all that fun stuff. They may need to hone that on the marketing side. They need to know, how do you take from an idea into production and sell it? So to me, that skill set is product management. So that's why I focus on it. So that, it's whatever you learn, it's so good to give back. So, and we're seeing trends. So, and it's like, why not take time out of your day and give back? And this is my way of giving back.
Well, that's great. I mean, you're passing down the knowledge. What's the expression? You're passing it forward. or
pay it forward.
Paying forward. Thank you.
When I started, I had lots of mentors that paid it forward to me, so you just have to take that train forward.
That's very true. You're also kind of in a unique situation because, you're the CPO, but also the co-founder. I wanted to ask you, what gaps do you most frequently see in this dynamic of a relationship between, in your case, you're the co-founder and CPO, but in some other organizations that exist, there's a lot of founder influence towards the product management side of things. And sometimes, it could influence or dictate some of the decisions and might lead to kind of poor results. So I wanted to get your perspective on that kind of understanding in terms of what to watch out for.
Yeah, I've coached other startups or I've even observed other startups. I think the biggest thing for a founder is getting out of your team's way. Even if you're in product, right? Like I have amazing team that have done their research and they know what they're doing. It's giving them the autonomy and not micromanaging. Because I know as a founder, it's your baby, but you hired the right skill set, you hired the right team. So giving them the autonomy and allowing them to learn, and it's okay to fail. Because guess what? They're going to learn and you're going to learn because you've seen their process. So that's my approach to like telling the other folks, like, don't influence the product. If you're not in the product space and you've hired a rock star product manager who's conflicting with you, write it out, give them that room because you may be surprised what you learn from that.
And what advice would you give to help unlock or break down those walls between a founder and product manager? Like you said, some around letting them kind of go with it, don't micromanage them. But in real life, there's like the theory and then there's a practice. Like how do you give them that autonomy at the end of the day?
So for my team, they have full access to dev team. If we are committed to a sprint goal and they want to lead this area and experiment with this product feature, go for it. You've got a month to figure out if it's a yes or no. The good thing is because everything is documented and we talk about it. So what happens is that learning, if it's whether it's a good or bad, that learning stays within that knowledge base. So if I did, like, let's say I hired another product person and they wanted to tackle a similar skill, feature set, they can look in the repository and get the insights, the why, the how, where we excelled, where there were failures. That's been my approach, is giving them full access to the dev team. Interesting.
In another recording that we had with another product leader, they mentioned something interesting, which we're trying to do more in our own organization, which is giving the product managers access to the full P&L of like the business, so that when they go and when they decide on what feature to build next and how much ROI potential it could derive in terms of user growth or revenue, they understand what's at stake in terms of the costing behind every decision. Wanted to get your perspective on that.
I think that's actually a good idea. Like giving them like, if we built this feature set, like we have one that's coming up that I may need to like listen to this podcast myself. But what we haven't done the piece where let's create this commercialization product, and if it goes in the marketplace, this is the amount of like the revenue implication, or this is the cost, and here's our opportunity. We could actually take that into an incentive model for the product team, right? Okay. Maybe like not hurt them if it doesn't work out. Like we'll have to figure out maybe punishment and burpees or some type of an activity. But if they're on a hunch and it does provide, if it brings in like 100K in revenue, how do you reward that? How do you reward that?
I think that's really interesting.
The penalized piece we have to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's other ideas, I would like to know.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Bobbie. I think lots of great insight here that hopefully the listeners are going to love and pass on or pay it forward as well, as we discussed. So for everybody listening, tune in next time for another CrowdLinker Fireside Chat episode where we are talking with more product innovation leaders to get some knowledge transfer coming your way. So thank you again, Bobbie. It was great having you.
Thank you.